Hello guys, and welcome back to another episode of Day in the Life, sort of being a drum tech at some rehearsal studios in Brighton, England. Today's a little bit different actually, so I'm just going to have a look to see what's on the bench. So all the broken stuff in the studio during the week will get put up here, and all the stuff that needs sort of maintenance will get put on this desk. So when I come in, I can see what needs to be done today. And we've got 3 snare drums that we're just going to service a little bit and just rehead and do some general maintenance on today. So this first snare, Yamaha Stage Custom, just needs a new bottom head. You can see there that the bottom head's completely gone. It's got a big rip in it and it needs to be replaced. So we're just going to get to work taking off the bottom head to start with. And replacing that out with a fresh one. Bottom heads blowing out like this is actually fairly common at the studio. I've never personally done a head like this myself from when I'm playing. I think it's just the sheer amount these drums get used, and especially hard hitters as well. You're gonna blow out the bottom head. I have seen people play the bottom head. We've had a few of those where it's quite obvious that there's like dents on the head, and I don't know what people have been doing, but they do blow out because they are super thin. As you can see there, just chuck it into the sort of old head storage. Behind that cabinet, I have all the old heads, and then we do like a dump sort of run every so often when it fills up. But it's quite hard to know what to do with old drum heads. There's a guy who used to take all the old drum heads from Brighton Electric, where I'm at today, and he would make chandeliers out of the metal rim that's on the drum head, which I thought was a really cool idea. It makes use of something that otherwise can't be used again. The one downside of how drum heads are made, right? You have the metal rim with the plastic type film or the actual material connected to it, so they're really hard to recycle. I don't think they do recycle them, so they just end up going into the dump, going to the tip. It's not great. I've always said whoever invents the first eco-friendly drum head will be a millionaire, but I don't see that happening because they do have to be pretty robust just to deal with a stick hitting them over and over, and I think metal and plastic are the best materials for the job at the moment. So I'm just going to go ahead and start cleaning this hoop up as well. When we've got the head off, it's a good opportunity just to have a general clean of the drum and the heads. So you can see there, all around that rim, we've got a lot of dust and grime and dirt that we're gonna get off with a bit of soapy water and elbow grease. Where the tension rods sit always accumulates lots of dust on the lug there, and the only way to get to it is, or to easily get to it, is when the head's off. So I'm just going round and just getting that bit just behind that little hole where the tension rod sits in. Just cleaning inside the drum now. I think a lot of the dust getting caught on the other side. But we're not doing 2 head replacement today on this drum, it's just the 1, so we'll do the best we can. So now I'm looking for a part. I'm not entirely sure what part I'm looking for actually. It could be the snare strainer. I'm not sure if this one was broken or not, but I've obviously spotted something that I think needs attention, but we'll have a look in a minute. So I'm just going to clean that top head as we're not taking it off. I still like to clean all the drums that come up here, or the kick pedals, or the hardware, and just try and make them looking as good as possible while I have the opportunity. Because again, this is the same morning where I have to get round to sort of 12 different rooms as well, so it's quite compact time-wise. If you spend longer up here sorting out a lot of the broken stuff, you then don't have as much time to get to the rooms downstairs. So it's a bit of a balancing act, and what needs to happen on what week. This week, obviously 3 snare drums down at this studio is quite a lot. They have got lots of backups, to be fair, but it's still quite a lot for them. So hopefully get these 3 back up and running as quickly as possible. More cleaning of the drum. Now focus on the top half of the drum, so the top hoop and the top head. So we're just going to grab the new reso head. We generally don't change the snare wires every time we change the reso head as well. I mean, a lot of these snare wires will have like a snare missing, and we try and let them go for as long as possible, because snare wires again are sort of a big cost to running a rehearsal studio. For the amount of snares that they have, it's a lot of money to keep replacing snare wires when they still sound pretty decent, you know, like when they're a tiny bit broken or they're missing a couple of the strands, they still sound pretty good, especially for rehearsal space. Like obviously if this is your drum teching for the same kit, or like on a show, like a live show, you're gonna be a bit more precious about what you're using and what needs replacing. But because it's at a busy rehearsal studio, these just need to survive. More about survival than it is about anything else. So I'm just putting a bit of Vaseline on the tension rods there, just to allow them to go into the thread a little bit easier, because you'll find they are when you move the head around, they can feel a little bit crusty going into the thread. This just helps it, lubricates it up. I believe Vaseline's used as well because it doesn't dry out, right? So it's a grease, it's a type of grease, and doesn't dry out like WD-40. Because WD-40 is great and it will work, but it does actually dry out eventually, so it doesn't help long term. It's not a long term solution. more important when you're doing the reso head, because the reso head won't change as much as the batter head. So if we can just give them a little bit of grease when they go in, it'll just help the longevity of the drum. I'm just finishing off the finger tightening process, pressing down on the hoop with equal pressure and finishing off finger tightening. So now I'm just using the trusty Tama multi-key just to give it 3 turns on each of the tension rods, because I'm going to take this reso side pretty high, so giving it just 3 solid turns straight off the bat will get me started. I actually bought another one of these multi-keys. I thought I lost it. I keep leaving these things in different places, so I have 2 now, which is quite nice actually. It's nice having 2. I think I'm going to leave one in my tech bag and then leave one in my sort of gig bag, but I wouldn't usually have 2 going. But you can hear it's starting to sound like a reso snare side. It's pretty high. Sort of that timbale sort of type sound is what you want to aim for. If you want a sort of snappy, sensitive snare, I guess. You can do this by feel as well. So just pressing on the head to give you that sort of inflated football type feel is what you want to aim for. And then you can go a little bit higher or a little bit lower depending on personal preference, really, on how you like your snare drum to sound. Just realized this is missing the vent hole. What would you call that? Cover? Grommet? The little metal ring that protects that vent hole there. I'll have a look at trying to find one of those in the future. So we're just going to put the snare wires back on. Again, not the best view. You can't really see what's going on, but I'm basically taking the tension out of the strainer on the right. So again, I always put the snare wires on with the tension off the strainer, and then I put them over to the left-hand side, to the opposite side of the strainer. Put it a little bit closer to the hoop or the rim on that side, because when the snare strainer engages, it pulls the snare wires across to the other side. Not by loads, but just a little bit. So you want to try and get them perfectly central, sort of offset them to the opposite side of the snare strainer, and you'll get that. The snare strainer on this one is a little bit loose. You can see it keeps wanting to flop back to engage position. It's probably a good indication that it's wearing out, and it will probably be changed in the near future. I've got a couple of other snares on the bench that you can see, and I think those guys they're all snare strainer issues. Again, another common place that these drums break is mainly the strainer, other than the general wear and tear of the drum heads. But yeah, we're looking pretty central. Engage that. Did you see it move a little bit there? So we're pretty much bang on here, as you can see, which is great. Can adjust that snare tension. Now we're going to spray WD-40 into the strainer mechanism, because it is getting caught, and you have to lift up that middle stem to then pull the lever. So I'm just going to use some WD on that to loosen things up. And once it gets going, it's usually okay again, and it sort of runs. Again, not a permanent solution, the WD-40, but it'll lubricate it enough to work for another couple of months. Again, survival. Just clean off the excess. And when people use it, it's not greasy, but there you can see like already it's a lot smoother, and it actually works how a snare strainer should work. So if in doubt, spray a bit of WD-40. That goes for most hardware, I would say drum hardware problems anyway. You can get away with a lot using WD-40. Yes, this thing's cool. I'm not going to tune it up here. I will tune it downstairs in one of the rooms. Not really soundproofed up in the loft, and also you don't get sort of the relative sound of the room. Better if I take it into a room that needs it and finish the tuning in there, as long as it's sounding like a snare drum up here. So there you go, it sounds snare like, and that is good. Just checking the bottom head again, because that's the one we replaced, so just to see if it's all even tension. You can hear they're a little bit out, so I'm just going to take that up so it matches the rest of the tension rods and the pitch of that bottom head. Can almost feel it when you tighten up those tension rods. You can feel the ones that are a little bit looser. Although we didn't change this top head, I'm still just going to tune it up a little bit so they're all even pitch. Pretty high actually, this top head. And I think it looks like the hoop's bent. It's one of those drums where the hoop's bent. See that bottom left-hand corner there? Looks a little bit bent, which won't help the tuning process. But we can try and make it sound as good as it can. I think this has got some of those tension rods. You can see I'm struggling to get the key on. There's sometimes a few different types of heads on these tension rods that don't fit like a standard size drum key, or the edge of the drum key is too thick so it doesn't fit close to the hoop. I think this was one of those drums, which is actually quite annoying. There you go, I'm just putting my stick. You can sort of see, it's not that obvious on the camera, but it's bent, that top hoop. I currently don't have any 14-inch hoops in stock, but it's one of those things that are on order, because there's a few of these snare drums now that are getting bent hoops just from being chucked around, really, just being abused, not being looked after as much. Yeah, sounding like a snare drum now, so I will fine-tune this drum later today. Downstairs in the room. So now we're going to move on to the other two snare drums that we've got up here. Little Mapex snare drums. These ones are a little bit older than the Yamahas. The Yamaha Stage Customs are a little bit newer than the Mapex, but nonetheless, they still get used the same amount. They're both sort of coming towards the end of their This one's got little screws holding the snare wires on the butt plate, we call that. Also has snare like wire, right? It's a string holding the snare wires onto the bottom head, not a strap, which is more modern. This drum has the snare string, which I don't know what it does. I think it has. You can use straps on this one, but string has been used. So I'm just looking now. So the reason this drum is up here, it's quite obvious. It's the snare strainer is broken, completely broken, I believe. But I'm gonna try and see if it's missing a screw at the bottom. So that's why it's moving around so much. So I'm just checking to see if the actual strainer's broken as well. I thought the strainer might be okay on this one because it was moving, but so I was thinking it could just need another screw and it would be fine. But I think after messing about with this snare strainer, it is done for, and we're gonna have to get a new one. So I'm just going to take off this snare strainer now and probably look to see if I've got another one. I'm pretty sure I don't have another one, but it's always good to check in those drawers full of those like random bits. Still going to see if this can be forced working. Again, a bit of WD-40 on it. See if it's just a little bit loose. Oh, sorry, not a little bit tight, and it just needs to be loosened up. But no, it doesn't want to go. I am persistent though. There you go. I just got it closed. I was like, you know what? Maybe that's the one. But no. I mean, if it's working like this, that's no good. And then you can see I've got it closed now, and now it's just floppy, not holding tension at all. So it is destined for the bin. I don't know how much longer it is till I realise this, but probably in a minute. I'm just going to loosen the strainer, if that helps, but it's not. Yeah, it's not holding. When I tighten that the strainer back up, it's really hard to close, and then it's really loose to open. So we'll have a look. That does actually say snare stuff on that label. It looks like wear stuff as it's peeling off, but that's all. That's where we keep all the spare snare stuff. So old strainers and butt plates and screws and wires and all that stuff. There's a lot of random bits, not any full throw-offs in there. So, because I'm just looking for the whole mechanism. There's a couple of those old Ludwig ones, but I don't trust them. And I don't think the holes will align with the screws, so I'd have to drill new holes. And buying new snare strainers or the snare throw-off isn't the end of the world, really. They can be really expensive, but the ones that are on there already I know are like fairly cheap with the little black grippy thing at the top of it. I know they're pretty cheap, those ones. I think they're about 20 quid each. They probably won't last a long time, but they'll do the job. For such an old snare drum, there's not much point putting on a £60 throw-off, because the drum itself isn't worth that. So this is just the graveyard. It's quite hard to see up here. There's not a lot of lights, but it's basically like the drum graveyard / audio stuff graveyard. And it's always good for me to check so you can see this mad thing, old sort of marching snare. I'm just seeing if there's a throw off basically that I could pinch from one of these snare drums up here, but I don't think there is. I I think I've done all the pinching of the hardware off of these shells, and I don't think we've got any left. Up there is where the amp tech works. If you ever get your amp fixed at Electric, that's where it'll be worked on. John's a really great guy. Knows what he's talking about. I'm just going to chuck all the parts now for this snare drum back into the shell. Make sure we keep it all together. And get rid of the bits that I don't need into the bin. But I'm actually going to I think I take it back out of the bin and keep them, because for reference of ordering, I just wanted to know the spacing of the holes, so I can order the same one, and it was a really quick swap over. Again, we'll clean the heads, you know. We'll do a bit of maintenance on these drums, so when the snare throw-offs, when they come in, we can just put those straight on, and then the drum's ready to go back out onto the floor without any additional sort of maintenance stuff. This one, again, that drum there, I don't know if you saw, that snare strainer was completely busted. It was completely falling apart, so that one also needs to be ordered, so I need to order 2 of those. But we're just going to do what we did with the Yamaha Stage Custom. We're just going to clean up the hoops, clean up the shells, and yeah, make them ready to go as soon as the snare strainers come in. And then I can just quickly replace those and chuck them downstairs. This hoop was really rusty, so that's why I'm spraying it with WD-40. The best way to revive your sort of chrome hardware though is a bit of tinfoil. You just grab a bit of tinfoil. You can use tinfoil and WD-40 actually, a good combo. But you can just use tinfoil on its own, to be honest, and it works great. Doesn't damage the chrome at all, but takes off all the exterior rusty bits. I don't have any, so we're going in with the WD just to help, because it was getting pretty rusty, that hoop. So we're just going to try and help it not get any more rusty, you know. See, that tension rod there is pretty rusty as well, right? Can you see that? Just going to gently place that one there. How many times am I going to drop tension rods onto this floor with the gaps in the floorboards? I bought this retapping kit the other week actually, and underneath my table there's not a blanket or a mat, so if you drop something, it's always that moment of, oh no, has it gone down the gap in the floorboard? Because if it goes down the gap in the floorboard, that is it, it's gone forever. And I had a piece, one of my tapping thread things, one of the smaller ones, I dropped when I was using it, and it went down in the gap. And it's probably, I don't know for sure yet, but it's probably the one that I'm going to use the most on drum stuff. But yeah, I need to get a little mat for the table, underneath the table. These are like a, what is that finish? It's like a fade, right? Red fade, burgundy fade. I don't know what they would call it. But great drums as well. These Mapexes are pretty solid for how long they've been going here. The Yamahas are really good as well for longevity purposes. I mean, most drums now, most decent drums you're going to buy are going to be pretty good, to be fair. The hardware holds up. the usual things will always break. Snare wires, snare strainers, and the heads. One of the snare straps is loose on that side, so I'm just going to attach the other side and put it in the drum. Now starting on the next hoop, getting all the grime off, getting all the dirt off, and the dust. Nice day, this day at the studio actually. Quite nice working up here when it's nice and sunny and warm. They've got these big windows you can open up and turn the fans on, and it's quite nice. You get quite a nice breeze. If it's too hot, like we had a heat wave recently, and obviously being in a loft, it is pretty brutal. But if the temperature's like this is early morning still, so this is probably 8 a.m., half 8. It's not like super peak hotness, and it's quite nice actually. It's really light. This head was okay, so I'm going to reuse it. I'm just going to clean it. So quickly start on to the next drum. Do the same as before, rinse and repeat. Just clean, soapy water. This drum was probably a Hires drum in the past. You can see the studio sticker on the drum there. That means it was going out to different places, and that just ensures that if someone did try and steal it and sell it on, it would always have sort of the mark on there. I mean, you can probably get that sticker if you want to put that much effort into stealing Mapex Meridian snare drum. You could probably clean it up, but don't think it's worth the hassle, personally. There you go, those two drums are ready to go. Ready to have new snare trainers put on them, and yeah, then they can go straight back downstairs. That'll happen next week, because we'll have to order those parts in. Gonna salvage all these little screws and stuff from the old hardware as well, because you never know when you're going to need it. Again, we're buying a like for likeness for these snare throw-offs, so all of these little parts will work with the new snare throw-offs. going to do a little tidy up of some of the hardware, some organizational stuff of the sort of loose stuff that's on top of this toolbox. And that's pretty much it, to be honest. Those 3 snare drums ready to go back downstairs and carry on their life. I'm sure I'll see them pretty soon, as I do with most of the drums here. But yeah, thanks again so much for watching. Really appreciate it. And hopefully catch you in the next one. Nice one. Cheers.